Does say meeting is now streaming on YouTube.
Hi there, y'all. This is Joelyn live from WonHeart, and I'm happy to bring a new and exciting guest on today for an interview about what she calls evolutionary astrology. Now, Diana comes with quite a history here of 20 years experience, and she's been doing this and reading astrological charts. We're going to learn more about this because I tried to go on the internet and I tried to learn this, but there's a lot to this. It is not a silly little poof in the sky, so to speak. And so I'm really happy to bring on my guest this morning. This is Diana. Diana, welcome to One Heart TV.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here and get connected with you. I was just saying how I've been done. I've been so busy doing chart readings that I haven't had, a lot of time to be, doing these interviews again. I mean, when in the beginning, when I was trying to build my business, 15 years ago, it was like I'd do anything to be on YouTube, or anything. But now I'm like, oh, it's been a busy, busy year. So thank you for having me.
Well, this is an interesting topic. Now, you and I met for a different reason through a dear friend of ours,
Mhm.
and when you said that you did astrology, I was very, very curious. I have always been curious. I've had readings before, and I have to say, one gal was spot on about me, and I was like, "Get out of here! You can read that? Just come on!" And that was a real quickie. I'll call it a quickie, actually, where she asked me my date of birth and my, so forth. And so I would like to first go back. You've been doing this for 20 years. Please share what got you into this, Diana.
Well, I mean, and before I was in astrologer, I was a financial advisor, stockbroker, managing millions of dollars in my past life with my ex-husband from age 20 to about 37. And then when I got a divorce and a life change, like a lot of women do, we're like, okay, who the heck am I now? I don't think I was really ever supposed to be a financial advisor. That's not what I did really well at it. I love the money. And that shows up in my chart, but actually that was a little bit more like my past life karma. Now that I started studying astrology and going, what am I really, how we go through that stage in our life, we're like, follow your bliss. And
Right.
I was at that point where I was having my midlife crisis, like a lot of people do. And I was like, what is really intriguing me? So I started studying right away Chinese astrology, like on my own, just kind of reading books. And then I got into feng shui and got my advanced degree in feng shui. I'm a certified soul coach with Denise Lynn. So from my late 30s, as I was going through my divorce and my separation, I just went all the way into the deep end of the ocean, spent a lot of my alamo money on educating myself, and then landed in Western astrology with Stephen Forrest, Evolutionary Astrologer, who is like probably the best astrologer I think in the world. He's probably has the best reputation. He's about 73 now. He's written probably 35 books. He is, Sting's astrologer, Robert Downey Jr.'s astrologer. He's probably every celebrity's astrologer. What I love about Stephen and about evolutionary astrology that's different than kind of what you were saying is I was just really disappointed in pop astrology, where it was like you'd open up your horoscope in a newspaper. It was like, Leo, today it's going to be a great day and you're going to meet someone at the grocery store and they're going to tell you you have beautiful eyes. It was just like,
Right.
really? There's got to be more depth to this. So, evolutionary astrology is really more about karmic. Why are you are the way you are? What are your obstacles in your life? Like, what do you keep bumping into all the time over and over again? Whether it's a family issue, whether it's a relationship issues, whether it's money or health, that all shows up in the chart. And then what makes evolutionary astrology different than any type of astrology out there, which is what I love, is that we're not fated by our sun sign or our horoscope. We have choices every day. And as an Aquarius myself, my mantra is we have freedom of choice to either open this door or open that door or shut them all. But we're not fated because Pluto is transiting your Venus today. I mean, I'm just speaking jibber jabby stuff right now. But so evolutionary astrology says we have freedom of choice, but we also are somewhat who we are. It's like we can't change the color of our hair, the height of how high we are. We have our genetic predisposition from our mother and our father, and astrologically we do too. So we're not some astrologers, and they were a little too negative for me. They're always like, oh boy, Saturn's going to be squaring your sun tomorrow and you're going to go through some really difficult times. And that doesn't always occur if the particular individual is evolved and
Now,
conscious.
what do you mean by that? Evolved conscious.
So you've done your inner work. I mean, you've done your work. You've been through a lot of obstacles in your life. You have done your, psychology, your therapy. You've done your inner work. You've looked at your shadow and you've done your work. I mean, sometimes I get clients who are 22 years old and I think, my gosh, I'm talking to the Dalai Lama. They are so enlightened. Sometimes, you'll be 75 years old and you still can't shake the monkey off your back why you still hate your ex-husband from 1972. I see that a lot, these holding patterns where whether it's forgiveness. So when I mean evolving, it means that you've done your hard work of whether it's meditation, whether it's self-discovery, whether it's astrology, that you've chosen to be mindful with your own sense of mind. How do we break? So that's what I mean about evolving or consciousness. So the chart, like, today, I was just kind of looking at today. I thought, well, wonder what's going on today. So I
Yeah,
have
let's look
a
into.
horoscope right here, and
Okay.
I use my phone for everything because I'm an Aquarius. So this is this is basically a horoscope of today, and I'm reading math. So astrology is really complicated because I'm reading numbers. I'm reading geometry. So I'm literally looking at angles like oppositions and trines, and I'm actually interpreting the music I'm reading. So
Ooh, I
think of
like that.
astrology is like a musician, like, okay, we've got a C flat here. We've got how do we blend these things together? And sometimes they just don't work very well. They just kind of make a bad sound. So, those are the challenges in our life, or how do we integrate this note with that note that does not pair well? Well, we are aware of that, and we work with finding that balance between these two archetypes of who we are. So think of astrology and evolutionary astrology as an archetypical language. So in Jungian therapy, which I love, Carl Jung, he was a big fan of astrology, by the way. He mentioned it multiple times in his books.
Mhm.
Because it's a language. We have the hero, we have the lover, we have the victim, we have the healer. So all of those come up through your personal birth chart, and those are called planets and signs, and we have the houses. So planets like Mars, for instance, that's the god of war, or how do you protect yourself? Or Mars also represents the hero, or in your particular chart, your actual energy force. I mean, like, are you a low energy person, a high energy person? If I look at the planet Mars in a chart, I can say, oh, you've got a lot of gumption. I happen to have a lot of Martian energy in me, which is this kind of, you can see I'm a spunky kind of talk, I teach fitness classes at the gym. People call me the Energizer Bunny. Well, that shows up in my chart
Yeah.
as a Mars can opposite my sun and my moon. So I have a lot of fire in me. So we look at elements like fire, water, earth, and air.
Yeah.
Those come up in the birth chart. So like today, we are right in the middle of happy Aries and spring. Aries, the ram.
Good.
An Aries. No, okay. So Aries represents, I'm just going to give a little astrology. It represents,
You.
yeah,
Yeah.
the spring and the new beginning. So we're in a new season,
I like that.
a new season of rebirth. So Aries is
Now
actually,
Diana, we really need to hear that right now because there's so much going on. Don't you agree?
yeah.
So go on. What do you
I'm
mean by
really
this?
excited. Yeah. So I was just out there looking at the wisteria in my house and just feeling
Yes.
this, smelling the jasmine and feeling this new rebirthing energy. And it's coming from the sign of Aries, which is the very first sign of the zodiac. So it's the baby that goes, I want to live. Here I am. I'm ready
Oh,
to go. I'm ready to explode and be creative. So this fire energy, the spring fire today. And we have a planet that's meshed today with, and I'm just kind of showing you this, like Venus, the goddess of love, is conjunct the sun today. I looked at the chart and I go, what a perfect day to do this mini interview with you, because Venus and the sun say, we want relationships with others. We're so sick and tired of not connecting, right?
Yes.
Today is like, and we might get a little excited like I am, and I'm looking at this, sun and Venus, knowing my chart, going, well, I'm a double Leo. I see why I feel so energetic today. Yesterday was not that way, but today I'm just like, wow. So we can actually look at above, as above, so below. That is an astrological term. So my horoscope or my personal chart is being affected by everything above it in the heavens. These are archetypical energies that are coming down and actually not making me a puppet, but they will create the mood of the day for the individual. So based on what's happening above us right now, it creates a energy to the human being as above, so below.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Interesting, because I have been a big fan of Carolyn Mace, and she
Yeah.
talked about coming on the planet with spiritual contracts, and I really believe that. Would you say that that's similar to what
Very
you're talking
similar.
about,
In fact,
or
I love Carolyn Mason. In fact, she's been getting into astrology a lot. She's cracking me up because I love her.
really?
But she knows enough to be dangerous, but she'll just like, yeah, to Pluto today is, I'm like, okay,
Ah,
Carolyn, I
yeah.
love you, but she obviously has an astrologer on board right now.
Mhm.
What I love is that we do come into the world with soul contracts, right? So we have a soul blueprint or a destiny to a certain degree. Now, we can tweak the destiny by making those choices and being aware of our soul contracts, like Carolyn would say. So when you bring the light on those soul contracts instead of like unconsciousness, like, so if you have a soul contract with your mother, and you don't like your mother and you hate your mother, and I can see it in your birth chart that there's issues with mama or daddy, oh, you
Uh-huh.
can see it right there in the birth chart, then it's
Oh,
like, okay, well, obviously you came out of the womb saying, I bring me a father or a mother that is not the best mother or father all in all. I mean, I would rather have this mother, but I chose this mother
mm,
in order to evolve. There's the evolutionary part of astrology, beyond getting stuck saying, I got so gypped off in the mother department. There's the victim stuck. And if you stay in the victim realm, you're never going to come into the higher realm that Carolyn talks
right,
about, right? So
right.
astrology illuminates your soul contracts.
Mhm.
It will illuminate a lesson plan on how to get unstuck a lot quicker. I love Pema Chodron. She wrote the wonderful book,
Right.
How to Get Unstuck. I use that word a lot in my readings because we just sometimes have a blockage that we're not always aware of. And astrology, and I do more astrological counseling, and I have clients that I see maybe, once or twice a month, and I'm like their astrological counselor, as we work through a mother issue or a child issue, or I'm doing a lot of relationship coaching right now, which I love, husband and wife, boyfriend and girlfriend, or a lot of right now is like singles trying to find the right partner for themselves,
Wow.
dating coaching. Yeah,
Wow,
that's the
that's
whole,
true.
you know,
Woo!
astrological compatibility is what my specialty is. And so we can look at the birth chart like as a contract that we have to fulfill, but as we illuminate the symbols in the birth chart, then we get clarity, right? Once
Mhm.
we know, oh, that's what's happening, maybe I should go to an ashram and learn to meditate because that's really where the gold is for me. Or maybe I should never meditate at all because in my past life, I was a monk and I was killed. So I will be looking in chart readings in past life karma, sometimes often, and we call those the nodes of the moon, very important in evolutionary astrology. The south node of the moon being past life karma that no longer serves you or it hurt you in a past life, and the north node of the moon is where you should be heading to, like your north star. So that's what makes the fundamental evolutionary astrology a little different. So I spend a lot of time on past life karma, and then and it's absolutely dead on, center right on. I'm stunned when I mention the nodes of the moon to a client. They're like, oh my gosh, how did you know? And this is so helpful. So,
And
evolutionary astrology.
it's just right there in the chart.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see it right there in the, okay.
Yep.
Now I'm going to be an advocate here. Actually, I'm going to speak for people that are listening to us right now, and they're listening to something maybe brand new, and they're going, "This is crazy. This is foo foo, la
Yeah.
la." What do you say to people? Because I did find out that you're almost like a psychotherapist, and
Yeah.
people love going to their psychotherapist. Would you relate it to that? And how do you tell people that would see this as
I've
foo-foo?
decided I don't even care if you're I won't want, if you're skeptical, like my partner is a PhD geophysicist scientist
Oh,
who does not, we're 7 years together. He doesn't believe in astrology at all. And here I'm an astrologer. I
okay.
don't try to convince him at all, nor will I try, but he just watches all these people come to me. And when on our first date, I looked at his chart and I'm like, gosh, will this be someone I could be compatible with?
Mhm.
And it has been the best relationship ever
Oh, wow.
because I knew from day one, aha, these are fitting really well. So I don't really care if people believe in astrology or not, or even how it works. It just works like magic. It has
Wow.
been used for over 5,000 years by sages. And by the way, just in the past 100 years, has it become a humanistic astrology where people are wanting to get counseling? It used to be only used by kings and queens and going,
Right.
hey, when should we go to war? When is that flood going to happen? So they
Right.
would look at this charts based on old school, drawing it up, handwriting these charts, and they're found in every culture, in caves, in chapels all around the world. I mean, it's beautiful that they've been using. So just in the past 100 years, as we become more connected to the human being, not just like the royalty or the weather, right, or wars.
Or
Um,
human
right.
consumers. Right.
Yeah, so I
Totally
don't
got it.
really try to ever convince anybody to believe in it. I
Good.
just say get a reading,
Right.
just get a reading and see what you think.
Right.
That, or I mean, the thing is, if you start just going on your own and pop astrologizing, looking at these, pop astrologers, you're gonna maybe think it's good or bad, but in my opinion, you want one-on-one with a seasoned licensed astrologer that has a lot of background, not someone who just read a book. I have my master's degree, and it's just like anything in life. You've got to be an expert, and 10,000 hours makes you an expert. I'm not trying to convince you I'm busy, but I'm just saying it's it's just like a doctor or anyone. Once you've been doing something for
Exactly.
so long, you can kind of just read the chart, and then get to know the client and go at it. And so it's astrological counseling is I get referrals from therapists all the time. They're like, okay,
Really?
I have a lot of therapists as my clients.
That's fabulous.
Yeah, so it can be an adjunct to therapy. Let's say we look at your moon sign, and your moon, it represents your feelings and your emotions and your mother. And let's just say your moon is in Capricorn, which
Mhm.
is considered to be in detriment, meaning it's like something happened as a child that made you grow up quickly. You've got a lot of blockage and pain and a deep wound.
Mhm.
So I can look at those things, and then we can start uncovering how to loosen up your heart, how to open up your feelings again when they've been shut down by
Mm.
trauma,
Right.
right? By early
Right.
childhood trauma. So I'm looking at everything through an astrological lens, but using the language of a counselor or a therapist. I have a lot of background in my life. My father was a therapist, so I decided not to be I'm a non-traditional therapist. How's that?
That's
Um,
good enough. It's very interesting. You say it goes way back. I know it does.
mhm,
I have personally had past life regressions, loved it, had
mhm,
huge amount of healing with them.
yeah.
And you do have to do your work to prepare yourself. I
Mhm,
have to admit, and I've been a researcher of my own life for a long time, but I also love archaeological things and going to the Mayan ruins.
mhm,
They've definitely got stuff where they were looking at the stars and they were charting out stuff with the naked eye. That is phenomenal to me. And
mhm.
so something's going on,
Yeah, yeah.
something in our ancient history that we really don't know much about.
Well,
That's
it's
been around
because
for
all
so
they
long.
had to do, I mean, there was no electricity. They would sit there, lay on their backs and watch when Venus, got close to the sun. They knew the planets, and then they would notice things happening at that
Right.
time. And they
Right.
charted them as sages and scribes for centuries.
Right.
Now, we don't really, we have so much light pollution. We can't see we can't see the galaxy very much anymore. So this is time tested over and over and over. Like when that happens, that happens. When that happens, that happens. That happens. Oh, wow. And then they notice when people were born. For instance, I have my daughter is going to be 33 next week. She's an Aries. She's a very solid Aries. I have so many friends and clients that are Aries, and you can see this Aryan energy in them. But let me just say also, for those skeptics out there, because I can hear you speaking and I can hear your voices here, is that, sometimes you can be an Aries, but be nothing like an Aries. Because let's just say your sun sign is an Aries, but you've got another energy right next door, and we'll just name it, we'll say Neptune. And Neptune's archetypical meaning means mystical, magical, passive, soft, a psychic, sometimes an addict, someone who would want to check out and take drugs and alcohol. So here we have someone who's an Aries, but has a much more draw based on, as an astrologer, knowing this towards the sign of Pisces. So a lot of times these skeptics out there, they don't understand how to understand the chart,
Right.
right? And they might say, that person doesn't even seem like an Aries at all. Or sometimes what happens is we get really, really, really almost religiously connected to our sun sign. Like, I'm an Aquarius,
Right.
and this is the reason I'm the way I am.
Right.
And no one can tell me what to do because I'm an independent thinker. And so I want to say, please dig deeper into the horoscope. It is so fun. You can just start out, people's, just by getting a book on basic astrology if you're interested. That's what started me. A year just reading every book I get my hands on and self-learning. And then I was like, I can't even learn enough until I go to school. So it's just such a fun hobby, that I highly recommend using, first of all, just for yourself. Like, I want to learn
Right.
about me. And that's how I got into it. Like, who am I? I'm a Leo moon and Leo sun. I'm a performer. I'm a dancer. I'm a singer. I am a light. I am joy. But I'm an Aquarius sun sign. So I also put off the energy of being a little aloof and a little bit eccentric. So
Mhm.
I've learned to adapt to these three parts of myself. And I talk to them all the day, like, who's gonna drive the bus of my life today?
Yeah.
Leo, are you going to get
Right.
the bus today?
I
Or
don't know.
as you learn astrology, you can start animating, and this is more Carolyn Miss stuff too. You start animating those archetypes and then becoming mindfully aware of your shadow and
Right.
who is the ego, who's in control, who is maladaptive in your chart. Maybe Venus is giving too much away as the lover. She's like, I love everybody. And we get in codependent relationships with people.
Yes, we do.
Right. If we're too much of the healer, or like, I want to save the world. I mean, so that's what
That would be
astrology
me.
can
Yeah.
do for you. Yeah, I know. Well, it's classic. Me too. I had to
So
really work with that.
I only have a limited time with you, and I just wonder, maybe here before you got to go off, is there a story that you can share that was really eye-opening? Don't give any names, of course, of your customers, but
Yeah, there's so
something that
many.
you can reflect on that to give an idea of what transcended possibly for somebody.
Oh,
You,
it's just so many stories. I mean, I'm just
I
talking
know.
recent ones, but I had a good client maybe 2 weeks ago came in, and I saw the planet Uranus in Taurus, which it's been in Taurus for the past like 2 years or so. And I said, wow, that's unexpected events maybe happening around money or land or property.
Mhm.
And I saw her chart and I said, oh my gosh, first of all, how's your health? How's everything going? I go, did you just get like a huge amount of money, or does something come up? But I see some unexpected large, and she's really close. She's a friend of mine, but she didn't say anything. And then her husband came in the next week. This was like 2 weeks ago for a reading. And he said, I'm not going to tell you anything, but you said something to my wife, and I just want you to read my chart. And I said the same thing to him, and you both, there's something unexpected. And he goes, Well, let me just tell you what happened. She had stock in a very famous company that you would know if I mentioned it. She was a part owner from 30 years ago. That
Hmm,
stock ended up
okay.
being worth gazillions of dollars. She just paid $10 million in about a month's time. They're pretty much retiring. So it was just this unexpected. So that I didn't know what company it was or where the 10 million. I just saw this unexpected explosion of possible wealth. That's an example that just happened 2 weeks ago. Sometimes it's not always that happy. Sometimes
Right,
it's like, oopsie, there's some challenges with your health. And then I find out the person, did have a heart attack or a stroke, or COVID, of course, happens a lot now.
right.
Sometimes I see, events around breakups. When I was going through my divorce, I saw a lot of symbology. I didn't know astrology that well back then.
Mhm.
But I was like, oh dear, oh dear. When my beloved Stephen Forrest was reading Madonna's chart, he used this as an example in a class. He
Yeah.
says, hey, Mo, it doesn't look good in your relationships. Uranus is right on your Venus or something. And she's like, screw you. I'm not getting a divorce. Well, 2 months later, she filed for divorce. So these symbols come
Okay.
up in the chart. And it's just about reading the music. So I'm reading the transits above the client. I'm looking at your chart, and there's a bunch of other things that I could spend years teaching you about how astrology works. But those are some symbols for the skeptics that, I am not a psychic. So I'm never going to tell you you're going to meet somebody in 19, I'm never going to say I tell people right away, I am not a psychic at all. Sometimes in a reading, I'll get like, I don't know, last week I said something like, God, Riders on the Storm by the Doors. And then I don't know why I said that. I was just channeling. And the person goes, that's my favorite song. How did you know Riders on the Storm was, so it's just, you never know what's going to
Right.
happen. And as I go into my astrology trance with my readings, but I just reading the symbols. Other amazing astrologers, we would read the same symbols and come up with similar, verbiage on what we see. We may not know exactly, but we're just trained to be music writers or music interpreters
I
for the
love you saying that because I'm a musician. So you go, girl.
yeah, and I come from a family of musicians and engineers and math people. So I kind of just jumped into astrology like a duck to water. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so perfect for my brain. Putting symbols together, how does that note work together, right? But
Well, when you showed the graph earlier, it reminded me of sacred geometry.
it is so sacred,
I
Joan.
mean, big time. So fascinating.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah,
if
there
people,
it is today again. So we see
so
those.
today is a rebirth, would that be for the world too? So to
Yes,
speak?
yes.
And does that mean some things are popping open and good?
Yep. I mean,
We need that.
yeah, it's a beautiful day for information. And the other thing is with Gemini rising right now on the chart today, in this moment we're talking, and Mars there, I would say this is definitely a day of being open to ideas, which we're doing. We're like, oh, I'm a skeptic of astrology. Let me just be
That's good.
curious. The
That's
sign of,
good,
yeah,
Diana.
the sign of Gemini says, hey, instead of being dogmatic and there's only one way to heaven, maybe there's multiple ways of seeing. Maybe tarot and fortune telling and palm reading and astrology may all come to the same conclusion, right? There is not one path to find the truth. I happen to choose astrology. It works for me. It's who I am. So,
Right.
but that's not that. So I'm just bringing in Gemini today because we've got a lot of planets in Gemini as we're speaking. The moon right now is in Scorpio. So we have the moon, the needs of a Scorpio moon says, I want to know everything. I want to know why you are the way you are. I want to know who you are. And I want you to always tell me the truth. And
I'm a Scorpio, so I don't know if that,
yeah, so
but yeah, that's
you're
me.
and a very intriguing interest in the occult, OCCULT. Like, I mean, this is like the occult astrology in some realms. Some people, some of my former Christian friends would say, oh, I would never go to an astrologer, that's the devil. And I just say, Oh, well, that's okay. You don't have to ever see me, and we will be just friends at the
Right,
gym, right?
right,
So I
right.
think I'm just about 1 minute before. So I hate to be
You
so
are, and I just want to have the folks share where they can reach you. Is your email and your phone number okay to give out, or what would you
yeah,
like in the bottom when
yeah,
I
the phone number, and I'm a texter. It's just easy that way. Just no junk, no texting junks. 805-295-9889. Just text me
I'll
805.
put that down
Yeah,
in
and then
everything.
just Leo, Leo, full, Full, moon, MOON at gmail.com. I'm not a Leo sun, I'm a Leo moon. So those
Okay.
of you, yeah, always,
Great. I'm glad you pointed that out. Well,
yeah, but I'm
thank
in, yeah,
you. That
yeah,
was wonderful. For all of you folks out there, thank you for joining us with One Heart. If you feel like donating, please go to oneheartinfo.org. You can catch many more videos of women I've been interviewing on all kinds of topics that might inspire you to start a change reaction. And it starts with yourself. Thank you.
thank
Thank you,
you.
Diane. And I hope we can do this again. This
I
was
would love to come
short.
on again. It
This
was
was
really
just
nice.
too short, but
So much we can narrow things down, whatever. So thank you, everyone. Have a beautiful spring rebirthing day. Go get some sun on your face, okay?
that's
All
right. Vitamin D.
right.
All right.